the fundamental questions whether or not the university is able to waive fees. I mean, that's at least from me a threshold question that I would have to address in order to sort of allow the university to bargain that. Our office has looked into this issue a couple of times, and we think that the Board of Governors Regulations 7.008 controls this issue. The first paragraph of that regulation says that each university board of trustees is authorized to waive tuition, non-resident tuition and associated fees for purposes that support and enhance the mission of the university. I wish it was a little clearer, but we have internally discussed this and also have consulted with the general counsel for the Board of Governors. And the way that is properly interpreted is that the university can waive tuition, it can waive non-resident tuition, and it can waive out-of-state fees. It's not permitted by the Board of Governors to waive, for lack of a better term, in-state fees, or the fees that we would charge all students, regardless of whether they're resident or non-resident students, that are generally required by Section 1009.24 of Florida statutes. So while we are authorized to waive out-of-state fees, and we have an example of that, I think, George, is out-of-state financial aid fee. We have that fee that we only charge to our non-resident students. We potentially waive that, but what we're not authorized to waive is the more traditional in-state fees that relate to technology, parking, transportation, those kinds of things.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. You said you spoke with the general counsel for the Board of Governors. Is that correct?
Correct.
About when did this happen?
When we spoke to the general counsel, I don't know. It's been those conversations. We've had this topic come up before, so it's been off and on for many years that we've had those conversations with the general counsel.
So would you say you've known for years that this is not an okay scheme, or is this something that kind of was defined more recently?
I think probably the last conversation we had with the general counsel for the Board of Governors was, I don't know, probably in the last 6 months or so.
Okay, so we weren't having these conversations with Board of Governors Council around September 2019 when we ratified our current agreement, and it's not a fee waiver agreement. I think you'll agree, right?
Fee waiver agreement? What do you mean?
Right. So looking at 10.6, I don't know if you have that in front of you, but the university has not necessarily waived our health and transportation fees. Rather, they are paying them on our behalf, and that's something that's been not even a point of contention in our bargaining meetings, a point of agreement. The university is not waiving these fees, rather it's just paying them on our behalf.
Yeah, I think that is a new issue that we were asked to opine on recently. Whether paying fees on someone's behalf is any different than waiving them. And mine and the general counsel's opinion is that there isn't a legal distinction there, and that we don't believe the Board of Governors or the state auditors would accept that there's a distinction there, and that paying someone's fees is the equivalent of waiving fees.
So in your interpretation then, do you think it would be problematic if other state universities in Florida waived named fees like the health fee?
I think that our interpretation is that would not be permissible.
Okay. So we sent some materials over to the university's bargaining team, where I think FAU explicitly waives the health fee. I can provide that to you guys again, but that's kind of where some of our confusion stems from. It looks like other universities are, at least since 2016, and I think the regulation is current, FAU in instances will waive the health fee along with other fees, which I don't think fall under the definition of associated fees. That's one thing that's kind of making us a little confused about this I think kind of narrow approach to what can be waived. I can provide that to you all. Secondly, if you looking at 7.001, you mentioned that this isn't 7.008, but it talks about it offers a definition for associated fees under 7.00 subsection 7.001 subsection 5, and it explicitly states that associated fees shall include the following fees. 5C is the health fee itself. Now, our transportation fee is not under there. That's Gainesville specific. It's Alachua specific. I imagine other schools will have some variation of the transportation fee that's not like ours, right? Our deal is with RTS. But right there explicitly defines associated fees to include the health fee. And if you read it under the same, this is all under the Board of Governors Rules Section 7, then a health fee is an associated fee for purposes of 7.001 as well. I'm sorry, for purposes of 7.008 as well as 7.001. So that's the second point I think that has us a little confused about the university's interpretation. I wonder if these points have been addressed with the Board of Governors Council, if they're aware of FAU's kind of regulation, and if they apply this ruling, I don't know what it would do for their fee waiver scheme. Let me see if I can find that for you, Ryan, and share it on the chat.
Yeah, obviously my office doesn't represent FAU.
Right.
I have no knowledge about what arrangements or they have made with the Board of Governors, whether they have a special exemption that they've either gotten by state law or through the Board of Governors. So while I could say generally, I think waiving fees would probably be a violation of the Board of Governors regulations. I don't have any knowledge about any specific circumstances about what any other university has permission to do or not to do. And just to be very frank, we see other universities do things both in and out of our state that we don't think that different universities take different positions with regard to what we think would pass legal muster.
I understand that. I think you can understand as well kind of and we've told Bill and company that we only have an issue if this cuts into our bottom line, right? So whatever mechanism we have to devise to comport with the law is fine with us as long as we're not losing money without justification in the process. So I think
that's the taxability issue, correct?
Right. I think which Mr. Kolb is here to address. So it's helpful, I think, for us moving forward to understand the university's position and the law on here. But I think that there are some facts within the Board of Governors rule and in other public universities here in Florida that I think kind of make us question how problematic this is. But that aside, Ryan, and then I think we want to let George talk a little bit. And I hope we're okay with first names. Sorry about that. That's a little presumptuous of me.
Totally fine.
Okay. You can definitely call me Javier. So that aside, Ryan, what do you think would happen if we, as someone who doesn't have to have to abide by these rules on a daily basis, I guess, what happens if the university continues our current setup and we're found in violation of Board of Governors rules? What's the fallout there? What are the consequences if we don't do this right?
So the sort of worst case scenario would be an audit finding either by the state legislative audit or the Board of Governors auditor that we're out of compliance. And the result of that is that if they believe that we have waived fees inappropriately, they would calculate that fee waiver, come to a total, and do one of two things: either say the university has to come up with the money to cover that cost some way, or they would potentially take it out of some appropriations. If they find that we've done it in a way that is sort of intentional or knowing or willful, as opposed to just an honest misinterpretation of the law, they can call upon our president and our board chair to have to go to and sit through a hearing and sort of justify or explain themselves.
In other words, it would cost us about $1 million.
Understood. And $1 million so far. That number would increase with time if we continue the current scheme and it's not
Right.
and it's not viable. So, Ryan, is it possible to request advisory opinions of the Board of Governors the way you might be able to with some state agencies or federal agencies?
No, they don't have a mechanism for requesting or providing, an opinion letter like the Attorney General.
Okay. Okay, so it sounds to me like this impression that our current scheme is not viable comes from communications with the General Counsel for the Board of Governors. Is that fair to say?
I think it primarily comes out of mine and the U.S. General Counsel's interpretation of the Board of Governors regulation.
Are any of those conversations, and I imagine not. I imagine the answer is no. Understanding that you're attorneys and you know, but are any of those conversations something that can be made public?
Conversations between me and the General Counsel?
Yes, not between you and your client.
There aren't any records of it, if that's what you're asking.
Okay, so they were not conversations via email. They were probably in person.
Yeah, she's in the office right next to me, so we don't really write a lot of emails to each other.
The Board of Governors General Counsel's office is right next to you.
I thought you meant the U.S. General Counsel.
No. I mean, I'm more interested in the conversation with the Board of Governors representative.
Oh, I got you. No, they wouldn't have been in writing either.
Okay, so they would have been in person or over the phone?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, I think the last time it came up was in person at a conference.
Was this all with the same Board of Governors representative?
Yes.
Okay. And that person is currently in that position, right?
Yes.
I promised to give the floor to George. I'm not sure if Bobby and Meredith have questions for Ryan.
Well, so assuming that my understanding is correct, and for this semester we'll be made whole by a payment on the next paycheck, I believe, or the one after that. Does your interpretation, Ryan, of this Board of Governors regulation preclude the university so again, assuming that we will be made whole this semester through a lump sum payment on the next paycheck or this paycheck after that, assuming that's the case, then we will be talking here about fee relief moving forward in future semesters. In your interpretation of the Board of Governors regulations, would you say that it's permissible or impermissible to furnish fee relief funds as a lump sum every semester?
So as opposed to a raise to base salary?
Correct. So the way we did it in the past was a raise to base salary. The way we did it in the past 3 semesters, was a fee waiver and applied to our bursar accounts. So I'm not talking about either of those mechanisms. I'm talking about a lump sum payment.
Yeah. That's a good question. My only concern about that is there is unfortunately another state statute. It's 215.425. Let me pull it up real quick. It's been a little bit.
While he's pulling that up, this is all subject to us having a tentative agreement. We can't do anything until we have an agreement on a contract.
Bill, are you referring to fall 2020 relief?
I'm referring to any, yeah, fall or spring.
Okay, okay, so I think we probably want to execute an MOU for fall 2020.
That probably, I'll defer to Brian on that, but I think that probably works.
So if you were to look at 215.425 paragraph B, is it B? I'm sorry, 3, paragraph 3. Any policy, ordinance, rule, or resolution designed to implement a bonus scheme, and then it says must, and then it gives a list of criteria. And we have had issues in the past with the Auditor General looking at lump sum payments made by the university and determining that they constitute a bonus, and then looking at whether they comply with the 3 criteria here under the statute, which includes that the rules related to those bonuses must base the award of a bonus on work performance, describe the performance standards and evaluation process by which the bonus will be awarded, and notify all employees of the policy, ordinance, rule, or resolution before beginning of the evaluation period on which a bonus will be based. Finally, consider all employees for the bonus. Now, in the past, I've been comfortable arguing to the Auditor General that when it says consider all employees, that it literally doesn't mean all employees of the university. And in other words, you don't have to come up with one bonus scheme for every single university employee. You can come up with one for a class of employees. So, for example, a class of employees could be the graduate assistants. But even then, if you're able to narrow it down to a class or a category of employees, they look to see, do you fulfill the other 3 requirements here? Obviously, C is easy to fulfill. You put it in the bargaining agreement. It's the other 2. It's basing the payment on the bonus on a work performance, and then describing the performance standards and evaluation process. I would be comfortable with a pretty low level performance threshold of, that you're employed and remain in good standing, but and don't have any discipline or something, something pretty high level that wouldn't necessarily be a difficult performance standard to meet, but it does require some level of performance standard.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you looking that up for us on the spot there.
Sure.
I know that was a strange question and also phrased awkwardly. So.
That's a good question. It's one we deal with frequently.
Ryan, in relation to that question, is there any kind of payment the university can make that is not considered compensation under this statute?
Not in the way the Auditor General has interpreted it.
Oh, okay.
I think define compensation, maybe it doesn't. But they have interpreted basically to be any type of remuneration, almost no matter in what form it's paid or received.
Okay. Any kind of monetary benefit issued by the employer to the employee.
Yeah, that's correct. But just so you know, the statute came about out of concerns of not universities necessarily, but obviously it applies to universities, but state agencies and state employers and public, divisions of the state getting too creative with the ways in which they compensate their employees. And so given that, the Auditor General and the legislature haven't broadly interpreted it when they do their audits, looking for creative ways in which to sort of compensate employees.
Yeah, wasn't one of those a coach issue?
It was actually, the biggest issue was the president of a state college.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Ryan. That's helpful. I'm sharing the link, by the way, to the FAU regulation. A lot of you have seen this before.
I have another question. Ryan, are you leaving this Zoom conference once we switch over to talking to George, or are you going to stay on 2? Because if you're going to leave right away, I had one more question, a procedural question about how we work this out this semester.
I assume that Ryan will stay on until.
Yeah,
we finish
I'll
this
stay on
board.
until you guys don't need me, and I can stay on. I didn't anticipate leaving before George did.
George, thank you for your patience. I don't have any additional questions. I'm not sure my team does for Ryan at the moment. These things tend to spring up kind of spontaneously, but I'll let you go ahead and get started on the tax liability issue about it, either issuing a fee waivers or paying fee relief via compensation.
Yes, I mean, I guess your question is, or you may already know the answer, but yes, if it's paid as compensation, it's certainly taxable. I mean, I don't think, and Ryan just elaborated on that, I don't think there's really a way around that.
Right.
And the fee waiver, obviously nothing would be paid, so there's no taxable issue there. But I think that, the legal aspect is what's getting in the way of that.
Okay. So I'm not sure how familiar you are with our current contract. I mean, I imagine you got 1,000 things going on at once. But currently, the way that it's written, 10.6 allows the university to pay the health and transportation fees on our behalf. So it's not currently the payment is not made as a wage, I think. So under this current writing, there is no tax liability to the university if it pays these fees on our behalf. Is that correct?
That's correct if it were determined to be allowable. Yeah.
Understood. Legality aside, and
Yes.
not to dismiss the legality, that's pressing, to say the least. Okay. And do you have any idea? So our concern is, we spent a long time last year kind of coming to terms as to, once we decided that the university was interested in helping us with fees in a more significant way. We spent a lot of time kind of working out essentially the numbers that we're at, the amount of coverage that we're at. And last time we talked with Bill and company, we spoke about, the union would be fine with any kind of paradigm we have to set up as long as it doesn't cut into our bottom line. And if we pay this out as wages, some of this amount is going to be withheld by tax, which, I mean, there's nothing that, that's Uncle Sam's cut. There's nothing, we're not going to stop that. But Bill kind of intimated that that this amount the university is willing to cover to make us truly whole again. So per Paul's example, if we're due $100 in fee relief and 5 of that goes to Uncle Sam, they would make up that difference so that we absolutely get $100 in our pocket, and preferably before we have to pay our fees. So, and I guess you're probably the better person to ask here, but that agreement is feasible financially?
Yeah, I think we can certainly, if that's something that's negotiated and everyone's on board with that, we could do a situation where we gross it up for taxes.
Okay.
Yes, and I will reiterate my earlier comment. If there's a tax liability concern here, we will make you whole.
Okay, thank you, George.
Sure.
I'm not sure that I have any questions for you. I'm not, maybe someone from my team does.
Before you go there, Paul, you've got some issues in terms of, you're on mute, by the way.
It's always good when I'm muted.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about the timing and kind of the calculation here, and perhaps George can help. I mean, if we agree to make a lump sum payment equal to the amount that would have been paid by the university for these 2 fees, so we calculate that. Terry can tell us what that dollar amount is. We've been tossing around, that it's $225 or something like that. And we want to, instead of paying $225 to each student, pay $225 plus X, such that the net is $225. How do we do that? And how do we do that in sufficient time so that we can accomplish it for the December 31 paycheck?
Paul,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, George, I didn't mean to cut you off. I might be able to save you some time, though. So Paul, understand. So maybe about 2 sessions ago, we're not going to make an issue of a lump sum payment that doesn't offset for taxes just for this semester.
Okay.
Yeah, to reiterate, to be crystal clear, we understand that a lot of stuff is moving inefficiently because of the COVID lockdown and COVID issues. And we are willing to
bite the bullet.
Sympathetic to that and allow some things to not go perfectly this semester. We want to talk about a more long-term fix next semester. If we had language in front of us that gave us lump sum payment this semester and said that we bargain it more fully during the reopener next semester, we would likely sign that today. We are ready to get this done for this semester today.
Yeah,
Right.
we have to be careful because next semester is the start of a new contract. And so we would have to agree that we would reopen the contract instantly, if you will, to solve that issue.
Yep, and we are okay with that because we understand that we have to have an agreement to get this done, and we understand that we worked very hard. My team worked very hard with you guys and very hard with Gator Care to work out what I think is a fabulous compromise.
Yep.
And we want to be able to get that to go into effect too, and we cannot do that if we don't have contracts. So, you know, I want to echo Paul's statement. I'm worried about the timing, and I want to get this done. And if there's a way to basically reopen it next semester, so we can.
So I spoke,
That's fine.
Dr. Duncan, I had spoke with Cynthia Mendoza. If we are looking at the 12/31 paycheck, they need to get the data December 7th, so by Monday, to hit the December, because she will have to have Stefan kind of code it all. So that's a time frame.
So if by getting the data in time, we just need to say, for everybody who is on the payroll eligible, the lump sum payment should be $225, period, for the fall, and then bring this back to the table for the spring and forward, then I think we're done. Because, you know, then in the spring, it would not be $225. It would be some variable amount on a kind of student by student basis, reflecting the 225 plus the tax liability.
I agree, Paul. Assuming, and I think you're right, I think 225 is the exact amount, or $225.25.
I think it's, yeah.
Yeah.
It's two, I think it, yes.
We will not raise a stink over tax withholdings for purposes of fall 2020. As when we're doubling down after Judy telling us that you have about a 4-day deadline to work with that.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah. Brooke or Judy, do you have anything else to say?
Nope, I've reached out to Cynthia because they were trying to prepare the list prior to the agreement to get all of those TAs, GAs with a 2.5 FTE or greater who it would go to, and then give that list to Terry's office to whittle it down even more to make sure we capture the right people. So I have my Skype open to them, waiting for their replies. So hopefully we can get this going quickly.
Yep. Brooke, any?
Nothing further from me, Bill.
Are we all set on this issue then?
Yep.
Yeah, I was just going to thank Ryan and George for their time. It's helpful.
Yeah, appreciate it both.
I would be curious to hear your thoughts, Ryan, on the FAU regulation. But that's you know, you don't have to stay in bargaining jail for that.
I appreciate that. I will take a look at it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, George.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks for sending that up, Bill. We appreciate that.
Yeah, I feel bad. Let George know he's not unpopular. Just we have more legal questions than math questions.
Well, as you know, they are both very good.
So
It's the first time I met George.
So Bill, I think that we're at a point where if the university sent us an MOU, some MOU language, I don't think we care if it's in the COVID MOU or just a separate MOU, just for the purposes of fee relief for fall 2020 to make it even easier. That states a fixed fee relief amount equal to 9 credit hours, which I think is 225.25 or something like that. I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah.
We sign off on it pretty quickly.
Yeah, I probably will craft that either this afternoon or tomorrow morning, because I got bargaining this afternoon, I got bargaining tomorrow, so it's a bit of a jammed calendar. But I will get it to you as quickly as possible.
Awesome. We would appreciate that. And once we get that, we can make the announcement to our members that to expect that money on the December 31st paycheck.
Right.
Kind of.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we have a December 31st paycheck instead of the January.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, yeah.
So that kind of, I think that would resolve our immediate fee relief issues. And I would be amenable to a quick reopener to deal with spring 2021 and beyond. To that end, I sent you and your team, assuming there are no more Article 10 related issues, actually, before I keep going.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure procedurally we can do these two things that need to be done, the next two steps simultaneously. So Judy can get with payroll, and Bill, you can start drafting language simultaneously for us to approve, right?
Well, I will be drafting the language. Payroll will be Judy and Cynthia and whoever else.
Cynthia and Terry Wooding in the Bassar's office.
Bursar.
Bursar. Sorry, I forgot the R.
Bobby, I'm not sure I understand your question. Do you mean that you're asking these things can occur simultaneously as opposed to one subsequent to the other?
Correct.
Okay. Like we don't, the university can start its calculations without us signing the MOU.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because because the language doesn't exist right now.
Okay.
Just want to make sure, because once again, the time issue.
Okay, and the MOU you want to be that we will pay on December 31, the 500 of the whatever the number is.
The $225.25.
Yeah, we think.
225.25.
Yeah, I have a whiteboard somewhere with insane scribbles and hieroglyphics that I just don't have that with me, but I think that's right.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, yeah. Oh, I'll be looking out for that via DocuSign, so we can just churn that out.
Okay. Yeah, and it may take a little bit because Becky would be the one who would be doing the DocuSign, and she's involved in the Board of Trustees meeting both today and tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah,
But it should.
I think that's fine as long as Judy can start talking to who she needs to talk to while we're waiting on that. Then that's
Okay.
fine.
I think the only piece of information that Judy has to confirm is that dollar amount.
So I just calculated what I think, and I'm not an accountant, I'd like to say that, or budget person. And I came up with 227.25, but I have it in an email for Terry to confirm that.
Okay. I think we're all in the same. I think we're in the ballpark.
Oh, Mark, yeah.
Yeah.
Judy, could you send me, as soon as she responds, could you send me an email to that effect?
I can copy you on this one that I'm sending to Terry and Cynthia if you would like.
Yeah, that would be good.
Thank you, Judy, for working with us up till the midnight hour. We appreciate you trying to get this to us before the year's end. So Bill, Article 10 aside, I sent your team an Article 25 proposal. I imagine you might want to amend it now if we're not going to resolve Article 10 for the next 3-year contract before the end of December.
Well, what's the Article 10 issue?
So well, I'm specifically referring to how we devise fee relief for the next 3 years and not fall 2020. So with Article 25 is what I sent you. That's the amendment and duration article.
Right.
So I've just made a date change so that it reflects the 2021 to 2023
Right.
years. And I did put in a reopener clause for Article 8, which we agreed, we pushed to next year.
Right.
I think I'll volunteer that for our team.
Would you put it up for us?
Yeah. I'm working on that now. Give me a second. Okay, here we go. Yeah, it's probably it makes a lot more sense to explain it with a visual than just off the top of my head. I'm sorry, taking a little time on my end. I have the draft of my qualifying exam up, and that is
We'll be glad to edit that for you.
That is slowing down Microsoft Word. Go figure. Bobby, Meredith, I don't know if you're going to have better luck than I am, or Steven, getting this up. If you can, let me know. I'd appreciate it. I'll give you hosting privileges. Oh, don't worry about it. I lied. We've got it up here. So let me share my screen. Okay, I hope everyone can see that I'm trying to zoom in now.
Okay, yeah, we see it now.
Okay. Okay, so I think the only substantive change we've made, Bill. So I'll do it from the top. So edited the date of effect to go until December 31st, 2023.
Right.
I think that makes sense. Interestingly, our contract technically ended a few months ago, but I'm not sure that really matters because without a new contract in effect, it's just extended. Right. Neat little point of technicality for those tuning in from home. So for 25.3, I've added a section that allows us to issue reopeners for Article 8 pursuant to our conversations. And just probably as a matter of strategy, I think that we probably would not start that conversation very early in the year. I think for both of us, we probably want to see how COVID vaccination shakes out over the months before we start talking about Article 8.
I would suggest that we change it to the 2021-22.
I think I think I would agree with that actually, because we want to see how the COVID vaccine shakes out, and we want to see what the budgets look like after the.
That gives us a little more. That gives us a little more flexibility to look at it.
Okay, I can. So I'm going to change it to state for the 2021 to 2022 academic year.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a March and April legislative session this upcoming year, right?
Right.
Yeah, so that's going to be in the best interest of everyone.
The other substantive change I made is so we're keeping the 90-day limit for, so I think that honestly, this article has a bunch of waivers, just to be frank.
Right.
So we're not limited, we didn't want to limit the Article 8 discussion to 90 days like we do
Okay,
with Article 10.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, I think especially since we might be in for another strange year timing wise, you know.
Right.
Right. That was kind of my thinking. And I removed the 25.6 language about the requirement to meet on January 15th. I think nothing is stopping us from meeting sooner if we both want to, and we might need to for Article 10 purposes.
I don't have a problem there either.
Okay. So I don't know if there's any additional changes the university would recommend.
Okay, I don't have any, but I'm going to turn to Brooke and Paul and Judy. And
I don't think so.
No, I don't have a concern with that either.
Okay. So I will send you this new version with just the academic year language then.
okay,
Let me save that. And we can probably TA this today, or relatively soon. I don't want to.
TA what?
This Article 25 provision.
Oh, we wouldn't. And we could TA that provision. That's correct. We could not TA the whole contract yet.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah, just this article.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Keep going.
So I'm saving that now. The other thing I wanted to do today is talk about Article 4. And I'm going to share the university's latest Article 4 proposal. I say latest, but it was made back in August. So just as a quick update, we worked on that Article 4 provision. Okay, I'll do that later. We worked on that Article 4 provision kind of together. It's about the summer TA appointment, and we were happy with the language. We wanted to add something else as part of our omnibus package. We're hereby rescinding, and that was an exploratory notion. Both of these have actually, I say proposals, but both of these have been exploratory notions. We're hereby rescinding our Article 4 exploratory notion. We're willing to put the universities back on the table. I'm going to share that. It preserves the language that specifically Paul was interested in about summer appointments and keeping that work specific to the students' research work. Let me share that real quickly. But I think that that's something that if we continue to agree on the language, we would probably not mind TAing soon either. Okay. Okay, I'm sharing that now. Okay, I hope everyone can see that. Okay, I'm getting head nods. So again, we had initially, well, not initially, we had proposed a change to 4.2 language. We rescinded our notion, so the current 4.2 language would stay. And the only change we worked out was down here in 4.9, which I've highlighted, with still, again, these were the changes we worked out together. I'll let you take a look at that, but I'm putting, rescinded our notion so that we can consider TAing this exploratory proposal soon.
Okay, can you go back up to the top?
Yes. We probably need to change. I'm not sure that we need to change that.
I would just delete that. I would just say university shall make appointments.
Okay.
That's one of those funny things that sometimes you'll see in contracts to go on for years and years and years.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's good form to get rid of them, though.
Oh, I agree. It's just sometimes my colleagues don't do very well.
Okay,
It's
so
not, I mean, it's both faculty and grad assistants.
I've got you recorded saying that, Bill. So now it's a problem for you.
Yeah, well, I have plenty of problems.
Okay, good point, Bill. So I'm amenable to striking that. I don't think that there's any other date-specific provisions in here.
No, there's not.
Okay. I will, along with the Article 25 language, I'll send this over to your team as well. I mean, it's technically your proposal, so if you...
I would just like to make a small comment here.
Yes, Bill.
And I'm fine with this because I worked on the language with you. There is an issue out there that may force us to kind of come back into conversation about this at some point, and that is that the financial support for these appointments, these summer RA appointments, almost always comes from grants. Because the typical pattern is you've got somebody who's a TA for a 9-month period, they're going to be a TA next year for a 9-month period. In between, they have this opportunity to grab one of these appointments. But the money for that appointment probably comes from the grant, and that means that the work has to contribute to the grant or to the grant project. So as long as this final phrase, to work on their research, is not intended as some rigidly exclusive phrase, like working exclusively and only on their own research, will be fine. But if we start getting into a situation where this appointment is not contributive to the grant funding that is paying the salary, we would be in a difficult federal problem. And so I just wanted to get that on the table as warning. I don't think that was ever the intent. I think the idea here is that it would mutually contribute to the grant and to the student's research. But if it's exclusively to the student's research, then it's a scholarship, it's not an appointment, and we would find ourselves in the wrong place. So
Yep.
That's issued just simply as a kind of fair warning.
Paul, I understand. I think that yeah, I think our members and non-members would rather have jobs
Yes.
than try to argue the technicality of, well, this falls, this isn't my work, per se, right?
Yeah.
I think
that has been my understanding as well. So
Right. And the truth of the matter is that their own research is generally tied to what they're doing for their PI anyway.
I agree, Bill. As someone from a science department, it may not be work that goes to my master's right away, but it's probably going to make it into my dissertation before my time is up at the university.
Right. Okay.
So, and I think that these kind of finer points are probably not best resolved by us, hundreds of miles away at the bargaining table, but rather, this is more of a discrepancy that the department and the student might be better suited to address than us here in our ivory tower.
A thought came to me, Paul, could they be appointed as a GA general instead of an RA for that? Are there implications?
No, the whole point here is that if they're not registered, then they're not students, so they're not eligible to be GAs. They're only eligible to be RAs.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so, and I also want to comment on this, Paul. I don't think we're in disagreement. This very, very small handful of cases where this becomes an issue involves people basically being told to be in a physical place 40 hours a week and supervise others. And they're doing administrative work, not the sort of data collection, experimentation, analysis.
If you can send us that data, we can talk to the units.
Yeah, if that situation arises, we want to hear about it.
Well, and that's the thing. So like, but I guess what I'm trying to say here is I agree with you. And so long as channels of communication remain open between GAU and the graduate school, this isn't going to be an issue. There's a small handful of cases and they're extreme. And I don't believe that you would have a different interpretation than us in the as regards the appropriateness of what they're being asked to do in those small handful of cases where I feel like this has been violated.
Okay, thank you.
And the vast majority of cases, by the way, are the ones that we don't hear about where it's going swimmingly, right? So.
Yeah, because it's exactly what Javier says. It's somebody who's getting a job as opposed to not getting a job.
Exactly, 100%.
Okay, what else do we have?
Bill, that's all I've got for you. That's all 3 courses that I've got for you today.
What else do we have left to discuss?
Oh, okay, sorry. Let me go to my frantic whiteboard number 2. So I think we've TA'd the grievance article.
Yep.
Okay, we've TA'd healthcare.
Yep.
We're going to punt on Article 8.
Yep.
Where Article 4 is on deck, and that's ready for TA.
Right.
As is Article 25.
Right.
I have written down here Article 20. Don't remember which one that is off the top of my head.
That's other employee rights, I believe.
Oh, we've TA'd that, haven't we?
I thought so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that we have anything left besides, well, I mean, we have our COVID MOU.
Right.
And the either adjoined or separate Article 10 MOU for fall 2020.
But we've already provided for that, right?
I'm sorry?
Oh, wait a minute, fall 2020, what?
Article 10 so we have to have something in writing before we can perpetuate this lump sum payment for fee relief for fall 2020, right?
That MOU, remember we talked about after you're done with bargaining later today and tomorrow, you write something up that said for this semester, fall 2020.
Right, yeah.
There would be a lump sum payment. Yep, that's what he's referring to.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's all we've got, Bill. I don't have any indication that we haven't resolved anything else. I'm not.
Let me ask a question then.
Sure.
Do we have a tentative agreement on the contract?
I think we'd have to, so I'm leaning yes. I want to be very sure before I lock in that answer, right?
Good.
Yeah.
If you could just send me a note later, letting me know.
Okay. Let me see if I can. So I think my only hesitation, Bill, and again, I'm largely yes, is I recall TAing 2 articles, but in my list I gave, we talked about 3 being TA'd. So I don't get a copy of what we TA'd in the end. So like DocuSign doesn't send me an email later saying, okay, this is the document signed by all parties. Here you go, Javier. So I think if you can send me what we've officially TA'd, that would be helpful. We can also post it on our website to let our members know.
I will get Becky to do that.
Okay, yeah, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, I guess what Javier's saying is like we need to list out what we have recorded as TA'd, and then if you list out what you have recorded as TA'd, make sure that those match.
Yeah.
That's important, right?
Yeah.
We had scorecards in the past, and this is just really difficult for Zoom, and you guys have done, your team has done a good job in trying to adapt, and we appreciate it.
Well,
although Judy should wear a leather jacket more often.
with that caveat,
I had to put on my other jacket. I do need to leave. I have to run to a doctor's appointment. So
okay.
Okay.
Are you
Thank you,
gonna
Judy.
run or just walk?
no, I'm gonna walk to my car. Bye-bye.
But
Hi, Judy. Thank you. So just to make it a little bit of a scoreboard, it's 12, 22, and 20, I think should have been T8 already. 12 being healthcare,
Yep, we did.
20 being mental health protections and other employee rights. 22 being grievances.
Yep,
Article 4 on deck today,
yep,
regarding summer appointments. Article 25, amendment and duration on deck today. That's 5. And I think those are the 5 articles in contention for next year that we want to agree on. We're partially resolving Article 10 for fall 2020. Well, we are resolving Article 10 for 2020 very soon in a separate MOU. And for purposes of 2021 to 2023, Article 10, I think we're going to carve out. I guess we're waiting on a proposal for you from that, but we may not need that to TA the contract with a reopener provision.
right.
Even without a reopener provision, I would argue, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay. Well, assuming that there's not something out there that we didn't find, we have a tentative agreement, and I want to say thank you very much for the cooperative spirit that you worked with us on, and we will look forward to continuing activity in the spring.
Likewise, thank you so much, Bill, Paul, and Brooke. I'm sure you're tired of seeing our faces, but I think that I think that we're able to achieve a lot through cooperation.
Oh, no question.
And I think particularly with healthcare, we're very pleased with the university's openness and willingness to let us actually roll in the mud with you all about benefits and costs. I think in the long term, our members are the ones who, and the university, really will see the fruits of that. And I know that this has been a very challenging year for many people because of the virus, and scheduling has been difficult. But I'm happy that we've been able to meet as often as we have and sort of blaze through here at the end on a lot of these outstanding issues. Thank you all.
Well, and to your entire team.
Oh no, they're going to hear endless praises from me, probably just off camera.
Well, but I want to give them our praises.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Don't mean to step on your toes there.
I'd like to second that. Thank you, everyone, for a spirited but very collegial bargaining season. And I'm going to hold up my coffee. Here's to, I don't know if you can see it, here's to bargaining at the table in person at some point next year.
Yep.
I'll hold up last night's Sonic Cup just to upset everyone a little bit.
Paul, do you have anything else to add?
Nope, I'm good. Echo the gratitude and especially Brooke's suggestion that perhaps at some point next year we'll be able to meet in person.
As soon as I get my vaccination, right?
And I get mine.
Well, yeah, I mean, Brooke's too young to get it early, but we get it earlier.
Hopefully we'll all get it soon. Let's see, that they need freezers to store these things. They're saying. But anyways, that's not.
That's not our problem.
Let's let everyone out of bargaining jail all at once.
All right. Thank you very much.
Happy holidays to everyone.
Yep.
So GAU is going to have a caucus now. If you want to join us for that, I imagine some of you have questions. I'd be happy to answer them about what you can expect moving forward and what ratification would look like for you and for the rest of our membership.
I think we don't need to have a caucus.
So Javier, do you have a separate caucus session?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So you guys can keep this Zoom.
Yeah, we're done.
Okay. The meeting's about to end then because I think I'm the host and it's about to click off. So take care, everyone. Happy holidays to you.
Yep.
See you, Brooke. Likewise. See you, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you.